We need to start over because I know that's on tape. Okay.
Going on 3 years.
Good evening and welcome to our Beyond the Front Page show here at CU Community College for the fall 2017 semester. This is a show that is broadcast on Spectrum, Verizon, Fios, the Auburn Regional Media Access, better known as ARMA, as well as Win 89, the college's radio station. I'm your host, Guy Cosentino. Well, many of us may already be tired of hearing the word campaign. There is one that is going on that has nothing to do with politics, but it is vital to our community every fall. Of course, is the effort to raise funds for the Cuyahoga County United Way and its member organizations. This year, Cuyahoga County's Director of Community Services, Ray BIZZARI, has agreed to chair this year's campaign, and he's here to talk about the campaign and the United Way. He comes with a long linkage to the United Way and its member agency. He is also joined by the Executive Director of the E. John GAVRAS Center, DANILLE AMBROSE, who is joining us. We had the GAVRAS Center on 2 weeks ago. You were not able to join us.
I wasn't.
But we're delighted to have you on here to talk about your agency's relationship to the United Way. We have them on to talk about the campaign, so welcome. And Mr. BIZZARI, welcome back.
Thank you.
Just as an update, we usually do this in late September. We've been running a little bit behind because we got a lot of races for candidates. So how much are you trying to raise this year?
Goal's $900,000.
Any idea how much you raised last year?
A little lower, I think around $1 million.
Okay, so why the lower amount? Just because of the economy, feeling it?
Not sure. I mean, I think that we want to be successful.
And so you've listed the campaign goal, and where are you in the process?
Well, we're kind of in the middle. We've been doing an awful lot of presentations. I think we've done like 35 or 40 of them now. Campaign cabinet's pretty active, and, got some more scheduled and working our way through those.
So are you doing these presentations yourself?
Many as I can. Yep.
Okay. How many? Where have you gone, and what are you telling people?
So we've been to the milk products. We've been to.
So you've been to Cuyahoga Milk Ingredients for.
Cuyahoga Milk Ingredients. We've been to a ton of places. A couple of the nonprofit agencies. Been to the ARC. The City of Auburn did a really nice job with their campaign. We've sort of been through the fire department, police department, all those places. Johnson Paper. Had some pace setters. Quite a bit. Yep.
So what are you telling people when you walk in?
Well, there's a great video. It's a great story about a woman named Laura, and I think people take a look at that on the website and
so what's her story?
So she's a victim of domestic violence, and she had to leave where she lived, and she had a couple of kids, and when people get homeless, they end up in motels, right? So we motel them, and there's a lot of effort in the community to get people out of motels and into affordable housing. So the rescue mission has the Merriman Project, all the housing down there and stuff like that. Cuyahoga Seneca Action Agency Domestic Violence. So there's an awful lot of effort, and she's got a place now, and she was very grateful, and it was a pretty powerful.
So you mentioned Merriman. Discussion. For those who may not know, that's near the Auburn Housing Authority, what's better known as Malone Village, and Mercy Apartments.
Yes.
In that area.
Yep.
You mentioned pace setters. For those who don't know the United Way lingo.
So before the kickoff was September 20th. So some agencies run their campaigns beforehand, and then you sort of get some. You can announce those numbers, and you can get some momentum that way. Okay. And have your pace setters hit what you've wanted so far? They've done really well. I think a bunch of the accounts are over where they were last year. Yep. And so as you track things right now, and you have a relatively new United Way staff. Yep. JULISA Stone is your new marketing and campaign. She's doing a good job. She's a Wells grad, so we always like to have local people in those positions. Yep. And Karen Macier has been on just a little over a year. Where are you tracking? Are you tracking on target, behind, ahead at this stage? I think we're doing all right. So where's the thermometer? There's one out in front of City Hall. No, where are you on the? I know there's one in front of the City Hall and the county. Where are you on the thermometer? I think they're like around 25% or something like that. Okay. And when does the campaign? It kicked off in September 20th. And when does it end? Early December. but stuff comes in afterwards, so we're still kind of running it into January and stuff like that.
So if you're at home and you're watching this, or you're watching the YouTube video and you want to help out the United Way, how do you do so?
So in the video, it shows you 3 ways that you can donate. Obviously, you can do payroll deduction through your work, but you can donate online, and you can send a check to United Way as well, too.
So a check can be sent for any amount to 17 East Genesee Street. You can go online. It's a secure system there, and then you can do payroll deduction. That really go through your payroll department.
Goes through your job, right? Yeah.
Does the United Way, do you have an idea of where the majority of your participants through payroll deduction, or are they through
Payroll deduction.
And how about cash in hand? Is that usually larger amounts are from individuals?
Yeah, people that make individual donations. There's some people that donate really well for a long time.
So you mentioned the video, but is there a theme? I saw in the Citizen they've done, I think, 2 or 3 full-page ads now. This one is Live, Give, Local, and this is about your volunteers, and there's a great story about Ann and Ted Mosley. But what's the theme for this year?
Live local, give local. That is the theme, yeah. I mean, it's the community taking care of the community. All the money that's donated stays here locally.
And any idea how much you will, so let's say you hit the 900,000 mark, how much of that will go to agencies?
Well, that's kind of up to the Fund Distribution Committee. They're the ones that decide. You know, the agencies make submissions around what they need for their programming. It's reviewed by panels of volunteers. They ask a lot of questions. They look at the reports. That, Danielle's pretty familiar with all that stuff. And then they make the awards based on need and how successful the agencies have been. So I don't think I wouldn't say there's a target. I think what they try to do is resource. There's like 24 agencies, 30 programs that get funded, so they try to resource them in the way that they need to be. And
you have 3 or 4 main areas where the money goes to. Can you just briefly tell us where those are?
Yeah, the biggest chunk goes to education programs, right? It's that next to safety net, so that's like food security, housing, and that health, therapy, counseling, stuff like that, and then income. People that need some sort of help with rent and things like that.
So take education. Where are some examples of money would go to in education?
Right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Center, yes.
All right. For those who don't know, and I don't know if they're regular viewers here, they should know. So what is the E. John Gabrus Center?
The E. John Gabrus Center is out on, well, we have 5 different locations actually, but our main location is on 182 North Street. We house an Article 28 clinic at that location, as well as our preschool program.
And you said you have 4 other properties.
We do. We have a day hab that's out across from Bass Pro, the mall. So there's a day hab site there. A community hab runs out of that site. Our service coordinators live there at that site. And then we have 3 residences that run 24/7.
So how big a staff do you have?
We have 130 full-time staff.
And how large a budget?
Just under $6 million.
So you're a not-for-profit?
We are.
And you're part of the United Way family?
We are. Have been for many years.
Forever, it seems
yeah,
like. So
exactly.
how important is the United Way to the Gavras's Center's mission?
Extremely important.
How so?
We use the United Way funding for our Dolly Parton Imagination Library.
So for those who don't know, this is, and again, this is my favorite program, no disrespect to any others, but you have been giving out books for the last almost 10 years. 10
years in February, we'll celebrate our 10th year anniversary.
And close to 250,000 books to children 0 through 5.
Yes.
They get a book every month, no income eligibility.
That's right. Any child that resides in Cayuga County.
And I know if you have a child who's born at Auburn Community Hospital, they fill out the forms for it.
Yes, they're a great partner for us.
But you can go online and your child gets an age appropriate, whether it's Maple or Excellent Ed or Owl in the Mood, and of course everyone loves Llama Llama and the Bully Goat.
Yes.
Great read. After the 37th time.
And the best thing about that is if the right, you know it by heart.
Yes, I do.
Is if you have more than one child in your household, they make an effort to make sure that books are not duplicated. So over the 5-year period, you never get the same book twice. You get a different book.
So you could end up with 120 different books.
Right.
So
right.
I know we just aged out of that. So, but that comes out of the United Way funds.
That is completely funded by the United Way.
Okay.
About 2,200. That funds 2,200 children.
In this county.
In this county.
And do you get other United Way funding for programs over?
Just Dolly Parton Imagination.
Just Dolly Parton, okay. What's your role as campaign chair?
Try to bring some energy to the campaign, you know, be the face of the campaign, talk to a lot of people, encourage them to give, do a lot of presentations. I think it's important to support it. You know, I feel like it just is so important to the community. So it was felt like the right thing to do.
So you're been part of the campaign. You've been doing individual group presentations. How's from your perspective? How's it going?
I think it's going really well.
You having fun?
Me? I always have fun. I think you know, everyone's been receiving it really well. I think this is a giving community, you know what I mean? They have been for a very long time. They support everything. I mean, people are always coming out for things. So, I mean, it's just nice talking to them and they respond to it. I think the video is powerful.
So a number of not-for-profits do their own, or businesses do their own fun type of campaigns, whether it's Blue Jean week or day or something like that. So far, what have you heard is the funnest incentive program to get people to give?
I think people like days off. Okay. There's been a lot of that. There's gift cards and things like that. There's sort of a wide variety of things people do. Some executive directors have lunch with, like if there's 100% participation in a program, they'll take everybody out to lunch, and they like that. So it's different agency to agency and business to business.
I know up here we have a parking space, and then then it's gift cards after that.
Yep,
so who's closest to the door, especially on a snow day?
That's very important.
Do you do anything fun for your employees to do this?
We would actually like to get the dunk tank and have, you know, race it in there, and you take shots.
That's awesome, right?
Anybody,
like
all
well,
the
if it's
money
inside,
that we
you're
get.
fine. It's getting a little cool up there.
I think executive directors should be getting dunked.
Will go to the United
So
Way.
I've known you 25 plus years.
Yep.
And anytime anybody who has heard that you are heading this campaign is, what is he thinking? He doesn't have enough on his plate over, because you run, I know community services, but it's mental health and social services and the health department.
Right.
You don't have enough on your plate, buddy?
See, when I went to a school that didn't have a lot of books, so I didn't learn to spell. So no to me is spelled K-N-O-W.
Okay.
So I don't know how to do it.
Needed the
But you have a
Dolly
but you have a
Parton
long. That's right. By the way, chapter 1. But you have a long history with the United Way agency.
Yes.
So how long were you the executive director of Q Counseling?
Oh, about 8 years or so.
And how long
was there?
were
Like
you?
26 or something altogether.
And that's a United Way agency?
Since the beginning of, yeah.
So with your work and with your employees' work, how big a role does the United Way play with your agency? Because you have a lot of people work in human services, whether it's mental health or it's social services. How big a role does the United Way play, not during campaign, but during the rest of the year with your employees?
So the real reason I did it was, I mean, there was a bunch of reasons, but one of them was I think that it's important to let people know what their money does, right? So when you donate, big or small, it doesn't really matter. Sort of all adds up. Build capacity in the community to do really important things. So again, like the video shows this. Money goes directly to people who are jammed up for whatever reason. 60% of the people in the county get touched by a United Way dollar in the course of a year. That's a lot of people. So you know someone. So that's cool that you can help them.
And it can be good or bad. It can be everything from the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts to Q Counseling to hospice of the Finger Lakes to the Gabrus Center.
It's not always emergency stuff. It's building capacity. It's doing things like that. Second thing the money does, though, and I think that the Merriman Project, you know, is a great example of that, is it gives the agencies the ability to sort of plan, right, on these big problems. So homelessness is a big problem. We're never going to cure it, but we can manage it a lot better. So a bunch of people come to the table. The dollars help leverage assets so that you don't want to have a system that creates problems for people. You want to fix the problem so it doesn't generate more problems for folks. And I think that's what it does. So I think that's an exciting message to tell people. And I don't think that we could be as successful in the work that's happening in the community without all these partner agencies. And the funding is, you know, helps them get to the table.
And they collaborate with each other. There's so much collaboration between the agencies that are together in the United Way and a lot of the agencies that, you know, that
Right, like how long have we
oversees.
all been working together? Just like you, we've known each other for a long time. There's a core group of people in the community that have worked for a very long time there, so you can get things done now.
So originally the Q County Human Services Coalition started as a program of the United Way. And it was housed there for many, many years. It's over, I think, in Booker T. Washington now. But that initially had its support because Chris Busher and others Tim at the United Way said, we need to do this. And there are other examples of that. I know that last month you had an agency, not-for-profit day down at BOCES. I thought there were about 60, 70 people there at that event. Those were United Way agencies and non-United Way agencies.
Yes.
Talked about philanthropy, about giving, what are priorities in the community. Is that the role of the United Way now more so than ever as a convener?
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think that Karen is fantastic at doing that. She comes out, she says, okay, did you know that this agency does this, and they might be able to help you, you know, in this way with the program. She helped us get Dolly Parton Imagination Library, the pamphlets and everything, out to a few more places that we didn't think of initially to be able to grow that.
And we should say, you're talking about Karen Macer. She's
Yes.
the executive director of the United Way. She has a finance committee meeting as we're taping this right now. That's why she sent the two of you. She said she would normally be here. Yeah, I didn't say this at the beginning. We talked about the E. John Gavras Center. But who was E. John Gavras?
He was
Not that Alex is up in the control room and will make you sound good or bad.
He would know this very well then.
It was his grandfather.
That is right, yeah, physical therapist. He was a physical therapist that started services in Cayuga County for children with disabilities.
So I know you're in the middle of a capital campaign, the silent portion.
We're going to kick off in the first quarter of 2018.
You wait till the United Way campaign
We
is
do.
done, but you were, Mr. Padula and staff were on 2 weeks ago just to talk about the Gavras Center. So how, have you ever been a United Way board member as well as, or did you stay off that board?
I did a tour as an agency director.
As an
You know,
agent,
everybody
okay.
takes a turn. You guys
Right.
probably did
Yes,
that too.
yeah.
You did, okay,
Yes,
so
yeah,
I did it as
agency
well.
director,
So
yeah.
can you tell us what the role of the directors is in this process?
Well,
So
the
fairly large, I mean, it's not a small board. It's now 24 members, but that's a fairly large
Mm-hmm.
not-for-profit board. What do they do in this process?
Well, they set policies and direction for United Way, and you know they also populate a lot of the committees that do different kinds of work. So like you have fund distribution committee that determines how to allocate money to agencies, make sure that they're doing the things that they say they're going to do. You've got public relations campaigns. So really what they're trying to do is you know, make the United Way very present in the community, generate a lot of energy around it. You know, it needs to be something that we talk about and think about year-round, not just during the campaign. So I think that's kind of what their focus is. They've, you know, they've had some changes over the past few years, gone through some directors. So they've been, you know, really probably spending a lot of time on bringing some stability to it, and then you know doing some planning right now for the next couple of years.
You talked about fund distribution, so any idea, let's talk about that process because people like to know where their dollars go. So the process is, let us say you're going to hit 900,000 plus. That money, a portion of that money goes to operating, a very small portion of that goes to operating. How do you divvy up the remainder of the money?
So I think, you know, so Danielle probably knows the schedule for when they make submissions. Right, so the United Way agencies will make an application to the United Way for funding. So they talk about what they're going to do, their outcomes. They talk about what they've done in the past, and they have the budget.
So you have to hit, as a United Way agency, you have to hit specific targets.
Yes.
To keep your money.
Yep. So we fill out an application to say what we're going to use the money for, and it's a lot of outcome-based measures. Which I think is fantastic. They went to that a couple of years ago, so they...
I believe he and I were directors when we
When
went
that
through this.
happened.
We were the test...
The catalyst for that?
No, we were the test subjects. And I don't say that in the most pleasant of ways. And, so...
No, I think that was great that they went to the outcome-based measures, because now we have milestones that we hit that we're able to show.
So I want to give, you came with books.
I did.
So how do you show outcomes to the United Way?
By the number of children that are receiving books
Okay.
a month that we're able to sign up. So we go to a lot of community events and hand out our information, make sure that parents know that this program exists and that they can get this for their children.
So usually fund distribution either meets in December, or I think last year a little bit later because of the campaign, the way the campaign in
February.
And like I think I said, Karen Macier came in really just as the campaign was already underway.
Right.
At least the pace setters. So with that, they meet in December or January. They make those determinations. Any idea how much in requests this year?
No, I haven't seen any of that stuff, and I'm not even. I think that have they been submitted yet? Have you
Not
guys
yet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think
They
they
haven't been
changed.
So they're
submitted
later
yet.
in the.
They changed the schedule, I think, so they would be making the awards when they knew how much money came in.
Right.
And do you know if the United Way is adding agencies this year?
No, I don't know. I don't know. Those are typically board decisions.
Okay, and so the board will then get a recommendation from the Fund Distribution Committee. They will say, you know, we have $900,000 to divvy up. What happens if you don't make it?
Well, that's not good.
No, I know, but what's the reality? So no, we need to tell people there's a reality.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah,
have to. I think that they
absolutely.
have to be thoughtful about allocating the money. Then you know, it's going to change what they can, how they can support the agencies, and yeah, I think that we're hoping that doesn't happen. Definitely.
Right.
In the past, there has been these youth allocation committees. Are they still doing that? I don't think they did it last year or the year before.
I do remember when they came out and did it, and that was really cool to get them involved. And that's the other thing that I think is great about the Funds Distribution Committee is they take the time to actually go out to the agencies that submit an application and have a conversation and learn about
So you're a great person
what's in
to
their
have this
application.
conversation with. So it is not that you just submit, hey, give us this money.
That's right.
Somebody shows up at your door. And so how many people is it on average?
I have seen it be as much as 8 people.
And they
in the
show up
past.
and they start asking you a lot of questions.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So they want your 1099s,
Your
they want your board
990, yeah,
990s, they
absolutely,
want
the board list.
990, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
They want your board list, they want to know what you're doing,
Yeah.
and then they have an interactive process with you where they're asking you questions.
I'm there sometimes. Staff that are running the program are there. Sometimes we have our board members that are there for these meetings, and yeah, they really want to know, what are you using the money for? And last year you sent this report in, and you said you did this. You know.
So it's Missouri. Show me
Yeah,
how you did this.
absolutely.
And have you started that process yet, or because the submissions
No,
are going to be so?
yeah, not yet. It's into the beginning of next year.
Any idea what other, so we talked about the not-for-profit summit that they had last month, and I was fortunate enough to moderate one of those programs. What other types of programs does the United Way do? I know you have got the CASH program, which is the program that is looks at the earned income tax credit. That'll be back here, I think, up at the college in January, February, and March. Are there other programs that the United Way does, or are they mainly focusing on funding organizations that do programs?
I think they mainly fund the organizations that do programs, but I think that Karen is open to looking at doing some more collaboration. She's trying to get more
That's her
agencies to
focus.
collaborate. Yeah, absolutely.
Just curiosity if you have any of these numbers. Any idea how many people participate in the United Way as donors in a given year?
Thousands.
Thousands. Any idea what the average amount is?
I believe it used to be about $40.
Okay.
It was like $25 to $40,
So do
depending on
Yeah, I think
that
people,
place.
$1, $2 a week out of their
Right.
paychecks, $5 like
52,
that.
yeah.
and I know you have some incentives for people to give, and I know Ms. Stone is stressing these out so that people will give more. So let's talk about some of the programs you have. You have the Everett Society, first of all, and that's the $500 contributions. Why should people, what do you get out of the Everett Society, or is it just the level of giving?
It recognizes your level of giving.
Okay.
Definitely.
And so pictures have been made there. I do know that, I'm looking at her because she's right out here. They do send direct mail out to say, please do it again.
I signed a lot of letters.
With personal notes, I should say. So
Could you read it?
I did read it.
All right, good, I'm glad, because that was a lot of writing, man.
In my house, I read all the letters because I'm always worried I'm going to get in trouble if I don't. But if you are asking people to increase, if they can, that, is there a specific type of donor who's an Everett donor, or is it just somebody who believes in the United Way?
It's people that have been affected by the United Way, people who know people that have been affected by the United Way, people who are just being generous.
So it could be, and I'm not going to be able to name all the United Way agencies, so it's whether they've had a child, or who they've used the YMCA, or they may have had to avail themselves of Freedom Rec for either they with a child with
Right.
needs or a sibling.
Yeah.
So it's across the board
Absolutely.
on items. Salvation Army, it could be food pantries,
Yep.
and across that. So you have some incentives for people who give. Let's talk about what Wegmans and Walmart, and I think there's some other agencies, are doing to start with.
So if you donate to the United Way, it's called the Step Up campaign. If you donate, a chance with your name is put into the drawing. If you increase your donation by $25, then you check the box, and your name goes in a second time, so it increases your chances to win.
So you've got giving from the Hilton Garden Inn, the Doubledays, Wegmans, J&J Limo, the Y, the Musical Theater Festival, better known as the Merry-Go-Round Theater, and Mesa Grande. So they're all are giving out gifts or prizes, and there's a drawing for that.
Mm-hmm.
And is it still the RSVP workers who
Yes.
do each of those poor?
Isn't
Great
that
volunteers.
Great
awesome?
No, it is,
amazing.
but they literally.
It's a lot of work.
So if you have 1,000 donors
Mhm.
and you increase,
There
they're
you
all
go.
writing out a little
There you go.
1,000
Right,
tabs.
it's a lot of work.
So that drawing is done after the campaign is finished, correct?
I think this will be in December.
Oh, you okay?
Yeah, well, the campaign will be done, but it won't be
So
before
are you
the
doing
final
a
out.
December? Last year you did not do a December event because I think it was so new into this. Are you doing a December event this year?
No, I think it's going to be in the beginning of the new year when everything can be tabulated and you get an accurate amount of what came in, and then we can announce that.
Okay. So I said I want to finish off with two thoughts. One is from an agency perspective, why should somebody give to the United Way? And don't tell me, tell them.
Tell them, because all of the, like Ray said, I mean, the tagline for it is great, right? Give local, because it stays local. These are 2,200 children in our community that are getting books every single month. It's amazing, and we're just one small portion of the United Way. There's, what, 24 other organizations that have the same kind of story to tell of how it impacts.
So just on the principle, in 10 years, 250,000 books.
Right?
As a campaign chair, what would you tell the public on the more global why give?
I think we want to have a community that takes care of it, that takes care of each other and takes care of itself. I think we have a long, rich history of that. So this continues that long, rich history. We help each other. We help people. This is a great way for you to touch an awful lot of people because the donations accumulate and it leverages really positive things for the community. And I think that's important. It creates a place we want to stay and we want to live.
So one of the big challenges, just a final question to you, one of the big challenges is young professionals.
Yeah.
Who may not have been given up. They have given out and they may text when they see a disaster in Puerto Rico or Texas or Florida. How do you get young people, I know Ignite was the chair 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get young people to give? Because this is their community in the future.
I think that's why it has to kind of be a year-round thing, because you have to talk to people. You have to let them know how important it is. And I think that the United Way is doing, doing a lot of work around reaching out to, because they're not like us. They get their information a bunch of different ways. So we have to tap that. I think they are generous, and I think we just have to talk to them.
We want to thank Ray BIZZARI, the Director of Community Services, who is also the chair of the 2017 United Way campaign, as well as Danielle Ambrose from the E. John Gavras Center, for joining us today to talk about the 2017 campaign. We do urge you to give. You have plenty of time to do so, but they would need your support, and if you can give between now and mid-December, that would be helpful to this campaign as they move forward. On Thursday, we'll have our second forum in a series, this one for the 4th Legislative District that includes Brutus. That is with Grant Kyle, the legislature's one independent, who was appointed to the seat vacated last year by Mark Farrell, being challenged by Chris Petras. Next Tuesday, October 24th, we'll have the candidates for the 11th Legislative District located in Auburn. That is where incumbent Frank Reginelli has decided not to seek a second term. That open seat faces off Elaine Daly. That would be Mr. BIZZARI's predecessor, and Michael Lesh in that seat. By the way, that night we will also have a special Beyond the Front Page featuring author Kate Clifford Larson, whose book Bound for the Promised Land is this year's Cuga Reads book. She and Seymour Library's librarian, Lisa Carr, will be on to talk about that book and that program, because there's an event next Wednesday on the 25th. That will be followed by the 13th Legislative District Forum that sees Legislator Timothy C. Lattimore seeking a 3rd term against challenger Robert Nadzo, and that will be on the 26th. We finish off our forums for the race for City Council on October 31st, yes, Halloween. We'll bring you the candidates, all 4 candidates on the ballot, Debbie McCormick and Terry Cuddy, who are both incumbents, as well as their challengers, John Camardo and Adam Miller. We return to our regular programming after Election Day. We'll have shows featuring Senator John G. Francisco, Auburn Superintendent of Schools Jeff Perizola, and Business Manager Lisa Green as they talk about foundation aid. We'll also talk about this college with President Brian Durant, and shows on Hospice of the Finger Lakes as they turn 30, another United Way agency, as well as an update on the Shines Theater. Before we go, though, we would like to let you know that we want to get your questions and thoughts for future Inside Government and Beyond the Front Page shows. You can send them at cozguytho@aol.com or Inside Government, 141 Dunning Avenue, Auburn, New York, 13021. I'm Guy Cosentino for Community College. We want to thank you for watching. We hope you have a good night and have a great tomorrow.